Welcome to my May 2019 reading summary. In May I read 24 books. This is quite a good amount, the same as in January and more than the months in between January and May, so I was pretty pleased with that. And here is the amount of books read per month in a pie chart. In May I read 6,319 pages. This is more than in the first few months of the year. In May I did not read my usual manga and graphic novels, but I did go to the library and borrowed quite a few books, and they had a deadline, so I read a bit more because I wanted to finish the books before they were due. And also I read quite a few children's books with illustrations, which also helps with the page count. And the amount of pages per month in a pie chart, we can definitely see that May's reading is about a quarter of the total pages I've read this year so far. Then the amount of books per age range per month. In May I read 12 children's books, which is the red column. I read 6 young adult books, which is the green one. And I read 6 books for adults, which is the purple one. I read no books for infants. I did look at the picture books in the library because I was planning to borrow some, but I didn't see any ones at the time that I was particularly interested in. Then the amount of new to me books versus rereads, where new is the red column and rereads is blue and a combination is green. In May I read just new to me books. I am actually rereading a book and I started that, I want to say, in like the last week of May, but I haven't finished it yet, so it doesn't count for this month, but that book is a reread. But the rest of the month I didn't reread anything, so we should have a reread in June. Then onto the genres of May. I read 6 fantasy books, 4 science fiction books, 2 contemporary fiction books, no rom-coms, 3 historical fiction, 1 literature, 1 detective and mystery, 2 thrillers, 1 horror, no paranormal, 5 biographies and memoirs, 3 information books, and no Disney and no art. I think there were a couple of books that had multiple genres, so the total of these genres here is actually more than the amount of books I read, but there were a couple of books that fell into a couple of genres. Then the amount of books per genre per month. In this graph we can see that in May I read quite a lot of biographies and quite a few fantasy books, but the contemporary fiction, which has started to go down since January. So in January I read a lot of contemporary fiction, and then after that it's going down. I've read only 2 of those in May, so that's something that stands out to me in this graph. Yeah, my reading keeps varying. The shortest books I've read this month were Super Dad's Day Off by Phil Earle with illustrations by Steve May, 93 pages. Drama Queen of Gewoon Autisme by Marije van Dongen, 108 pages. And De Droombewaker, Prinses van Wonderrijk Book 2 by Tia Stilton, 128 pages. The longest books I've read this month were Spirituele Symbolen, Volkeren, Religies, Mysteries by Robert Atkinson and others, 792 pages. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 392 pages. Reis door de tijd 8 by Geronimo Stilton, 384 pages. De Verdwenen Prinses, book 5 in the Zeven Rozen series by Tia Stilton, 384 pages. And Fantasia 12, Het Vlammenravijn by Geronimo Stilton, 384 pages. My favorite books of the month were Maar je ziet er helemaal niet autistisch uit by Bianca Toeps. I really liked this autism memoir. I really liked it, and I could also relate to it on a personal level. So yeah, I really liked this one. Then The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was really good, and it had really great characters and some twists, and yeah, I really liked this book. And lastly, we have I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. I really enjoyed this young adult contemporary about a non-binary teenager, and it was really nice to read a book with that representation and have a nice story and nice characters, and yeah. Then we get to the books that I found pretty enjoyable, and we have two pages or slides of this. I feel like I should point out that everything on this one, Pretty Enjoyable number 1, I liked more than stuff on Pretty Enjoyable number 2, but I wasn't sure what other category to make, but there you go. The first book is Fantasia 12, Het Vlammenravijn by Geronimo Stilton. I enjoyed this read, just like all the other Fantasia books. Then we have The Verdwenen Prinses by Thea Stilton, Zeven Rozen book 5. I also really liked this one. It had colorful illustrations with flowers. Reis door de tijd 8 by Geronimo Stilton. Again, a nice Stilton read. Then we have the two Spy School books. We have Spy School and Spy Camp, both by Stuart Gibbs. I really enjoyed reading these two books. I already knew bits about it because I have read books 3, 4 and 5 in this series. It was really nice to read books 1 and 2. Then we have Dolfje en Noora by Paul van Loon with illustrations by Hugo van Look, and I enjoyed reading this Dolfje Weerwolfje book. I like this series. Then we have Omen Stroomt Over by Francine Omen. This was a graphic memoir about Omen's time going through menopause, and I found it interesting to read about this, and it had nice illustrations. The Kleine Prinses by Geronimo Stilton and Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is a retelling of The Little Princess. I haven't read the original book, but I quite like this retelling. Then on to more books that I found pretty enjoyable this month. Attack of the Zombies, B-Boy Book 2 by Tony DeSolis. I enjoyed this story. I like the illustrations. Drama Queen of Gewoon Autisme by Marije van Dongen. This was a nice autism memoir. I liked learning about Marije's life and how she experiences things, and I could relate to some things. Then we have geïllustreerde verhalen uit de Griekse mythologie by Usborne Publishers and a bunch of people. And these were illustrated stories from Greek mythology, and I found this an enjoyable read. Niet wat jij denkt by Yami Jongejan and Bouwien Jansen. This is Yami's memoir about her life with anorexia, and yeah, I found this an interesting read. Violet and the Smokkelaars, book 3 in the Violet series by Harriet Whitehorn. I enjoyed this book. Yeah, it was a nice sort of mystery story for children. Then we have Positively Izzy by Terry Libenson. And this was a nice sort of combination of an illustrated book and a graphic novel. I haven't read book 1 in this series, but I enjoyed reading book 2. The ending confused me a bit, but upon reflection it does make sense. And it is like, what a twist. Super Dad's Day Off by Phil Earle, illustration by Steve May. This was an enjoyable read. And lastly, we have Ridder voor een Dag by Geronimo Stilton. I liked this book, but it is possible I've read it before because it seems like they have taken this story from an earlier Stilton book. I felt like that could have been done a bit better. Then onto the books I found somewhat enjoyable. Spirituele Symbolen by Robert Atkinson and others. It was nice to flick through this book, and I liked reading the descriptions and seeing all the pictures. But I do feel like there was certain things that were missing. Then we have De Droombewaker by Thea Stilton. And this was a nice read, but it was not as nice as the earlier books that were longer. And then we have Username Evie and Username Regenerated by Joe Sugg and a couple of other people. And this was a nice graphic novel duology, but it was not my favorite, and the art style was not my favorite. So, it was an alright read. Then we get to my least favorite of the month, and that was Handboek voor Asperger Vrouwen by Leanne Holiday Willy. I was expecting different things from this book. Now, the English title is Safety Skills for Asperger Women, and that actually makes more sense. The Dutch title is more generic, as in more like a guidebook for women with Asperger's, and I was hoping to find more things that were useful to me. I felt a lot of the things in this book were things that I sort of already know, or that wouldn't really apply to me. That concludes my May 2019 reading summary. Overall, this month I read quite a few books and pages, I did not read my usual graphic novels and manga. I went to the library and I read some books from there, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed going to the library a lot. I was a bit pressured with the timeline that I had to finish all the books before they were due. So in that sense, I read them a bit quicker than I otherwise would have, which is not necessarily good for my enjoyment, if that makes sense, because I sometimes felt like I had to read even though I wasn't in the mood to read. But I did really enjoy going to the library, and yeah, it's just me, because when I am at the library I see so many nice books that I want to borrow a lot, and then I borrow more than I probably should, and yeah. So anyway, overall I am pretty satisfied with this reading month. I read 3 books that I really, really loved, and I read quite a few books that I liked. So yeah, overall I would call it a successful reading month. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!